So today we'll start delving into concept of what are these customer data platforms are. We'll understand what are they and how they're important in today's digital landscape. So once we grasp the basics about it, we'll explore the various types of CDPs available in the market. Next, we'll get to know the overview of Adobe Experience Platform. Then we dive into its architecture. And then we'll explore the process of configuring sources and understanding the schemas in AEP. So let's get started. So first, I would like to make you understand what exactly the CDP is. So CDP is an acronym of this customer data platforms. So the pain point in general businesses are, for example, lots of businesses have a big problem targeting their customers correctly because they don't have all the information about their customers in one place. So this happens because customer data is spread out across different systems like email, social media, sales databases, or point of sale many, right? Because the customer data is not really stored in one place, data is present in multiple places. So businesses struggle to get a complete picture of each customer. So this makes it hard for them to send the right messages and avoid repeating their efforts. For example, I'm running a business. Maybe I'm running a textile business or something like a Max or a lifestyle. So I want to target you. You are one of my customer, but your data was very, very partial and it's very, very different in each medium. For example, if you're using app, you'll give some information. In the point of sale, you give your misspell your name some way or maybe something like that. In surveys, maybe you feel different way. So the information of we know they have multiple sources, but I don't know which source is correct, which email is correct. For example, you have two different emails in one in survey, one in app or somewhere else. So the data sources is very much vast, right? So what exactly the pain point here is, I want to exactly identify what is your preference. I want to identify what is your behavior pattern. I want to target you exactly, like with the right offer at the right time. Because if you're interested in cosmetics, I cannot give something regarding running shoes, right? Because you're never interested on that stuff. So businesses need some clear picture of this customer data. Only then they can able to do something. So to resolve this issue, customer data platforms are introduced. So what the platforms do, they serve as the solution to this fragmented data dilemma by providing businesses with centralized hub where all the customers data is aggregated, and in the centralized hub, like they're aggregated. Uh, for example, our data present in multiple sources, they get data into a centralized hub, they clean it, they organize into a unified customer profile. So by integrating data from different sources and systems, like it includes both online data and offline interactions, these CDPs enable businesses to create comprehensive and up-to-date view of customer. So it gives you some unified profile view, unified customer view, which contains demographic information of a customer's purchase history, browsing behavior, email interactions, social media engagements, and many more. So it's painting something like a holistic picture of the customer journey and preferences. It gives you every information about the customers. So after that, we'll target them. So based on our requirement separately. So using the CDPs doesn't just fix the problem of the scattered data. It also opens up a lot of opportunities for business. So with their customer in all the customers info in one place, businesses can understand their customers better, like what they like, how they behave, and what exactly trending, what they're liking on it. So this helps them group their customers more effectively and make the marketing campaigns more personalized. Everyone needs personalized experiences, right? This will work better. So by using emails, we can give the product suggestion, something like this. For example, if you search something on YouTube or something, you'll be seeing the ads on Facebook or Gmail. It's something like that. So whatever the customer required, so we'll give you some offers or suggestions, recommendations based on it. So to give that, we need to understand customers better. So that's basically CDPs are not only solve the problem of scattered data, but also help businesses to grow, succeed in today's very tough market. In the market, in digital market is very important. So the CDP will capture everything on that. So in simple terms, that's what it does. Like it contains data in multiple places. It capture the data and bring it to one centralized hub. Then, for example, the customer may have partial data. Some customers doesn't have the full information, everything. For example, we have 200 customers, but in reality we have only 50 customers have redundant data of it everywhere. So what exactly this does, We'll get all the data together, we'll club it, we'll use some AI and ML mechanisms there, and we'll combine it. And by getting the output, we'll get the customers with 360 degrees information. Those 50 customers, for example, we are sending some 200 customers into it, but only 50 are real customers out of it. The AEP will generate 50 customers out of it with all the information whichever related to us. So after that, we'll segment out what exactly requirement we have, then we'll target them separately. So this is exactly what happens inside CDP. So any questions you have in this one on CDPs?
No, but the thing is that CDP is its main like a customer data segregation in terms layman knowledge. Okay, it means a lot of customers are they have different customers and different uses, different choices. It will just segregate it and give one perfect solution to business to target.
Exactly, yes. Okay, so like it gives the unified profile view. Unified profile view in the sense, for example, your data is very much scattered. For example, your preference data stored in somewhere, your loyalty data is stored in somewhere. So your transaction data is stored in somewhere. And also the information is partial. The same we know this repeating multiple times. We don't know which we know this who, right? So once we get all this data together in one single hub, then we'll give some holistic unified view of this customer. Like for example, Vinod Kumar B is one customer, Vinod Kumar A is another customer. They doesn't have anything common, so there will be two different customers. So we divide the customers accordingly and give the complete information about customers. Then we'll target them separately. Yeah, what you said is right, but yeah, this is what happens in CDPs.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
So let's understand the types of CDPs. So there are two types of CDPs based on approaches we use in CDPs. So and other data management system to identify and match customer records across various data sources. Like for example, I'm just telling you, right? We're getting data from multiple sources. We're placing it one central hub, right? So after that, we want to check how these customers are combining. Like we are combining multiple sources of data, how this based on some identity, this should be combined, right? Like how in databases we combine things based on the primary key or a foreign key. So there should be some mechanism involved in CDPs, how these customers are combining based on what identity. So how your next information or other information of yours can be matched together. So there should be some sort of matching, some sort of things happening inside a CDP, right? And I told you about this A and ML mechanism, right? Using that, it will be combined. So based on how they're combining, CDPs are divided into two types. One is deterministic matching, another one is probabilistic matching. So this deterministic matching involves matching customer records based on unique identifiers or keys that are shared across the data sources.
Okay.
Like exact, it should be have exact matches of identities. Like for example, you have information like Vinod Kumar at gmail.com. If some other person have the same email, then only you people will match together. If there should be exact match with the identities we're giving. It could be email address, it could be CRM IDs, it could be customer IDs, it could be phone numbers, or any personally identifiable information. When there is an exact match is found, their identities are generated, they'll be mixed together and they'll form unified customer profile. Suppose a CDP receives a customer data from company's website or a mobile app or in-store POS system. In each of these sources, it provides a unique customer ID or email address, right, in general. So the CDP used this deterministic matching to link all the interactions associated with the same customer ID or email address into single unified customer profile. So that's what exactly deterministic matching is. And there are many CDPs in market using deterministic matching technology. One is AEP, which we are discussing right now. And the one is SAP CDP and Salesforce CDP. And there are many things because there are around 40, 50 CDPs in the market, but majorly people use AEP, maybe Salesforce and things. But yeah, these are the examples of deterministic matching. So there's another called probabilistic matching. This involves using algorithms and statistical techniques to match customer records based on non-unique identifiers or attributes that are common across other data sources. Like these are not unique, they match on non-unique things. Like they'll see the probability. For example, these attributes might include demographic information, purchase, behavior, device characteristics, or browsing patterns, whatever. So instead of relying on exact matches, probabilistic matching assigns probabilities to potential matches based on the similarities between records. So for example, if there is Vinod Kumar B and Vinod, it sees both, it sees the probability matching. There are 60% match or 70% match on your names. It thought, okay, both persons are same, we can match it. Instead of taking the exact matches, exact identities, it will take some probability percentage. If there's any like how we do the permutation to combinations, it will check the probabilities. If there's any match in the probabilities, like maybe 60 or 70 based on the requirement we provided, then it will match. Like consider a scenario where there are two customer records have similar but not identical attributes, like similar names, addresses, and purchase histories. The probabilistic matching algorithm might calculate a likelihood score, like what exactly that indicates the probability of these records represent the same individual. So based on that, these will be combined together. Like simple difference, deterministic matching, if the common ID or a common something, it will match accordingly if there's exact match. Probabilistic matching, think these could be common, so they'll check for the percentage match. Maybe like email, they'll check the percentage match of 80% something, it will give the numbers to it, it will calculate based on it. Like there are a few things that in the market, pressure data, Amperity are examples of it. And I told you about this Oracle Unity, right? They recently launched a CDP. It combines both deterministic matching and probabilistic matching. So it's a mix of both. So recently they're also launching the combination of both CDPs, which is Oracle Unity, but it was not evolving, just started. But these are the basic types of CDPs and examples. So any questions here?
No, got it. Thank you.
I'll go to next. I'll start with AEP directly. So as I told you, AEP is a deterministic matching tool. It's a cloud-based deterministic matching customer data platform. It was developed by the Adobe systems. So as every CDP, it is engineered to empower businesses by centralizing and integrating customer data from diverse sources, enabling to craft personalized and cohesive experiences across various channels and touch points. So AP architecture is very crafted to support the collection, processing, and activation of customer data. So it comprises different layers. First layer is data ingestion layer. You can able to see this one, data ingestion layer. So we can see data is coming from different things, like we have numerous sources and channels. For example, if you have S3 data, the data is stored in S3 bucket or SFTP bucket, or maybe some other Adobe platform. Because in Adobe Cloud, there are many tools, right? There is CJA, there is AGO, there's AEM, there's Adobe Analytics, all those things. If the data is or stored somewhere in the Adobe platforms, or there is any third-party sources, or there are any streaming sources, or there are any batch sources. There are many types of sources, right? So it collects data from different sources. That's what we are saying. Could be client-side information, could be server-side information. It collects the data from different sources. It's called data ingestion layer, where we have two types. One is batch data, one is streaming data. So batch data is come in a batch way. Streaming is continuous data. So this is how different sources we just have in the data ingestion layer. Then we have something called data storage layer. So once data is ingested, it finds a place in this layer. AP employs a scalable and distributed infrastructure to accommodate this vast volumes of customer data. So this is called data lake. It stores both raw data and structured data. So whenever we have a lot of tables, we have a lot of bulk tables, we ingest into AP. Then these things will be stored in somewhere called data lake. Like it contains all the raw information, whatever we ingested into this particular AP. Then we have something called customer profile database.
Okay.
So what happens, as I told you, so once data got ingested into this thing, data layer, based on the algorithm or based on the identities we provided into that particular data, the things will match. So it will do some stitching, it will do some identity resolution, it could create identity graphs, then it will combine them and making them as a different profile fragments. Maybe we have 4 Vinod Kumars or 3 Sohits, they combine together and are making it as one. Or maybe we have Sohit A and Sohit B. There are two variations. There are two different customers. We have 6, 7 different data about them. So they'll divide it into just two profiles. So this type of thing, this type of stitching, this type of things that happens inside this real-time customer profiles. Real-time customer profiles in the sense this raw data will automatically convert it into profile fragments with a unified view. So
Okay.
that's what the data lake. And next, it's a real-time customer view. And after that, we have something called segmentation service. So I'll explain you later, but I'll give you just a bit of description about it. So once data got ingested, profiles are formed. So I am a company, I want to target few customers. I don't want to give same offer for all the customers, right? So I want to give different offers for the different customers based on my requirement. For example, I recently created an application. No one purchasing in the app, everyone is purchasing offline. So I want to target customers who never purchase anything online, only on offline. So I want to separate the audience, separate the profiles. I want to target them with a different offer. Maybe I want to target a female customers whose birthday is coming this month. So I'll target them. I'll do some rules. I'll create some segments. I'll divide them and I'll create them as separate audience. This separate creating separate audience based on common traits or based on some rules is called segmentation. Like segmenting the profiles into different ways based on the common features they just had. So it's called segmentation service. It will be two types. One is batch, one is streaming. I'll explain you what exactly are there in the later classes. But yeah, batch is the batch wise. Streaming is more like a real time process. But in general, the segmentation service is dividing the unified profiles based on the common traits they just have. And we just have this data governance layer. The data governance layer, like obviously, we data data should have some privacy and governance, right? It should be compliance with the privacy regulations and data protection standards we just have. It could be CCPA, it could be HIPAA for the healthcare centers, it could be Brexit, they have something. For UK and US, they have something, CCP and all that stuff. So all the data should be regulated on this. So this will be automatically there. So we are not doing anything from our side, but we're just ensuring that AEP is taking care of these things, like whatever data we're just collecting, whatever data we're just targeting and everything, it are adhered to this data governance and privacy rules. So after the CDP, there are many other tools, like we are sending these things to the destinations. Like we are segmenting the things, we're making the profiles, and then we are just targeting the profiles. Maybe we can send them an email, we can send them SMS, we can send them a Facebook, we can show the ad on a Facebook or a Google ad, or like that. We have some 70, 80 connectors in the AEP where we can able to target the customers differently. Like wherever you want to target it, you can do it. Like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you want to do it, you can do it. Similarly, there are many other tools which is very built inbuilt to AEP. We can also take the data to there. There is something called journey optimizer, using which we can able to create campaigns, offers, and all that stuff. That's another tool completely, but this was built on top of AEP, where we can able to get this data directly into AEP, and we can create some messages, create some interactions, journeys there. And similarly, there's something called customer journey analytics, where it help us to analyze the data, like how we use Power BI and Tableau, like different graphs and dashboards. Like it will clearly shows the dashboards and graphs, like how many people's opened the mail, how many people didn't open, how many errors are came, how many was okay for the offers, how many not. It will give the clear picture so that we can able to retarget the customers when something was not happening. Like this, we have multiple destinations after from AEP to this. But this thing was a separate sessions, AJO and CJA, because these are completely different tools. There are a lot of things inside it, but there are many other tools, where third-party tools, we can able to target things. So this is a simple process. It collects the data, then it sent to the this particular AEP. Then based on whatever policies we just have, whatever the identities we just have, it will connect into profiles. That profiles will be segmented into different audience based on the rules we just provided. After that, we'll target different destinations.
Got it.
So this is the overall architecture of this particular API. So any questions here?
No. Got it.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you.
So then we'll talk about sources. As I told you, the sources is from where we're getting the data, right? So within AP, sources have various places where data is stored or collected. So these sources contribute valuable information used to create detailed customer profiles. So for offering personalized experiences and understanding customer behaviors and everything, these sources are very important because we're getting the data from it. So examples of these sources are, as I told you previously, Adobe applications. We can because Adobe is in AP is in Adobe cloud space. There are many Adobe tools are present in here, but there is no need to learn everything here. But because whatever the implementation is happening in Adobe, right, there are many tools that happening, like there's something called ACS, like campaign surveys, AEM is happening. There is something called Adobe Launch, Adobe Target. There is a lot of things already present. On the top of it, AP is built. So whatever the data present there, it automatically can get the things to AEP as a source. Then we can use the data and create profiles. So we're not connecting anything on that. We directly have a connectors. We'll use it directly and we'll take the data. So like that, we have something called Adobe applications, and we'll have this enterprise data systems, as well as we have web and mobile SDKs. So as I told you, there are enterprise sources like we have many connectors. Like we have default source connectors in API. I'll walk you through the UI, how exactly API looks. But in general, there are many sources present in API like connectors. We can directly use them. And for example, if you want to connect to the S3 of your client location, S3 bucket of your client location, they'll give you all the things like a bucket name, uh, the password, RSA token, and everything. So you will give the credentials, so it will directly connect it from AEP. No need to use Python scripts and all the things that generally use in databases and CDPs. Here we have connectors. Like we have around 240 connectors in total in sources, a lot of different types. We can use it directly and connect to them. And there is something called Web and Mobile SDK. It's called Web Software Development Kit or Mobile Software Development Kit. For example, there's a lot of data that present in a third party that was neither sorry that was neither belongs to Adobe apps nor belongs to any connectors that are already present by default. So there's any third-party applications which doesn't have any connectors in AEP. You want to get the data. You want to collect the web. For example, there's a website information. You want to get that website information into your particular AEP, but you don't have direct connectors to it. Maybe Amazon information. We don't have. Maybe we have something like Mintra. For Mintra, there's a website. We need to get the website information. If Mintra got an app, we want to get the mobile data information about it, how the interactions are happening on that. But there is no direct connectors to use for all the apps, right? Because there are many apps. The API cannot provide direct connectors for all the apps. In that scenarios, we use the concept called Web and Mobile SDK, where by default we'll code the things and we'll get the data and we'll use them. And along with that, we have this batch and streaming APIs. So through your APIs, we can able to connect with the sources and we can able to get the data into this particular API. It could be batch or streaming, like streaming is real time, batch will come as a batch. So these are exactly what exactly the sources are.
Yeah, got it.
So in this experience platform, we have around enterprise solutions as 70 plus. So these integrate what happens generally, it have basic authentication we need to do. We need to make these connections are very effortless. We need to use the authentication, then we'll connect directly to it. We'll get the list of files. We'll select what are the files we require there, and we'll connect it directly to it. And there are a lot, as I told you, there are a lot of supporting things here. Like there are file storages, data warehouses like S3 cloud and everything. There are streaming thing like Amazon Kinesis, Google PubSub, Lafayette and LiveRamp, Event Hub, and all those things. And there are it's also connected with ETL partners like Informatica, Software AG, Tribes, and there is Talent. There are many sources. As I told you, there are around 200 plus sources here. So a lot of things are happening. So we can able to get around 120 terabytes of data every month. We have permissions to take that much of data from these sources. So we can able to do a lot of things here. Like let me open the UI. It will work. So can you see my screen, right? This
Yes.
UI thing? Yeah. So this is how API looks in general. So I'll explain you these things, what are the sandboxes and all that stuff. But first, I'll explain you what exactly the source is, where it located. So you can see this inside it, there are many things. Inside connections, there you can see something called sources. So when you click on the sources, so it will give you all the source connectors that present in API. Now, okay. For example, these are the many connectors that present in API. Like if you want to connect to a source that is related to any Adobe application, you can able to see here, these are the things that are already present. Any advertising things, any analytics things, cloud storage, SF3, PS3. So there are different types of these things, different types of connectors that we directly have. So you can use any one of it, or maybe two of it, three of it, based on the requirement you just have, based on, because it changes client to client. Because I worked around some 13 projects in CDPs. So many clients store the data in different places based on their requirement, based on their present implementation happening in their site, right? Maybe they store somewhere in Adobe Consist, someone store in S3 bucket, someone store in SFTP, someone stored in BigQuery. So what we need to do is we need to get the credentials from them, like view credentials or something like that. They'll provide us directly. Like if it's S3, they'll give the root access. So we need to provide, so for each thing we need to provide the authentication they provides, like what is account name, S3 key, and the secret key, and what are also required. Then when we click it, automatically it will be connected. When we need to give the authentication, then the particular bucket is automatically connected. So no need to use the Python scripts and everything. It's a simple process. So whatever the source connector you want to connect, just go to sources, select the source, set up the connection, give the information that you have there, and click on create. It will create directly. So these things these are ingestion part. I'll explain you later. But authentication part, this is what we generally do. If you want to connect to any source, just give the credentials, whatever you just have it, it will work. By default, we have many, we can use it, but majority of places, right, we don't use any third party thing, because majority of the clients only use this, either they use Oracle or maybe Amazon, AWS things. But only rare case in my 13 projects I completed, only one project they have data in the third party things other than these connectors. So rest of the things will have information in these connectors only. So it's a simple UI process. You need to click on setup and do this. So that's what sources exactly does. But how to, after setting up the sources, how we can ingest the data into it, I'll explain you later. But this what the sources are. So any questions in sources and stuff?
No, got it. Understood.
Schema is nothing but think CDP is in this database point of view. Okay, in database the main important things are tables, where we structure the things and everything. So similarly here we have schemas. Like schema is like a blueprint for data. It sets rules for how data should be structured and formatted. So what like this ensures some consistency and validity as data moves between different systems. So in these schemas access universal language for describing the data, like we can reuse without any conflicts or something. So these are very much useful to store large and complex data efficiently. This schema contains many things inside it, like it had classes, it got field groups, it got fields, it got data types. I'll tell them exactly what they are. But schema was nothing but a table which contains only the structure. And there's something called XDM. XDM is nothing but experience data model. It called XDM. They're sometimes referred as XDM schemas and all. You can see XDM here, right? XDM schemas.
Yeah.
They'll call it as XDM schemas or XDM. XDM is nothing but experience data model. So the meaning of it is, so this particular AEP and Adobe, they provide some definition to the schema. Like it has to be in this structure. Like how the table should be there in this way, the hierarchy should be this way. They have some structure on it by default. So those considered as an experience data model, like they have some sort of data model, everything was stored in certain place. So that's why it's called experience data model. That's it. So a schema contains many things inside it, but simply we can call it as schema was class plus a field group. I'll explain you what is class and what is field group. It's just class and field group. It's called schema, and schema is just a table structure. It's not a table. I will say it's structure. It's just skeleton of a table. Like it contains attributes. It contains column names. That's it. It doesn't store any data. It had only the structure. So any questions, schemas, because it's important topic here. That's why if you have any questions, you can ask me.
This is okay. Means this schema, it's like a table, okay, in a database. Means these categories they use like behavior, class, field groups, data type, and fields like that to store the data.
Yeah, right. No, yeah, kind of, yes, but these kind of tables only, but it doesn't have any data. It have some structure. That's it. For example, think like that. You have a customer table in database. The customer table have all the information about customers, like customer name, age, demographics, all that stuff. It had all the information about. So this schema similarly, it's something like the table, but it doesn't have any details inside it. It just have a structure.
Okay.
Like it had only column names. That's it.
Understand.
So like we can have multiple tables we fit into this particular schema. You know the concept of views, right? Like in the Python and something, we'll create a views where we store the data separately. We have structure separately.
No.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
got
yeah, something similar. Like
okay.
we have
Structure is this is structure and data stored in some other place.
yeah,
Got it.
exactly. This is just a structure. This is a skeleton. That's it.
Okay, okay.
So it had some definitions. That's how it should be. That's why it's called XDM, Experience Data Model, because it's related to Adobe Experience Platform. That's why it's called Experience Data Model.
Got it.
And it contains class plus schema field to class. I'll explain you what exactly class first, because everything was inside in the schema only. So whatever, because CDP is very simple tool, that's why I'll just start with schema only. So there's something called class. So a schema's class defines the behavioral aspects of the data. That schema contains record-based data or a time series data. For example, if you're creating a schema, first you have to define is what is the class of that schema. By default, we have two classes in our AEP. One is experience event, one is individual profile, or one is record based, one is event based. What's the difference is, if it's data is record based, like it is a record of a customer, record of a profile, like age, name, loyalty details. These are records of a customer, the record value, attributable value of a customer. This is considered as an individual profile or record based. There is some other type is called experience event or time series. These are events. For example, you perform some task at particular point of time, it was captured, that is called event data or a time series data. For example, you made card abandonment, or you made a click on something, you purchase something, you did some transaction. These are, you're doing some tasks at one point of time, like you doing some event data, you're doing some event at a particular time frame, a particular timestamp. So these information are called event data. These are stored as in an experience event class. So whenever you create a schema, there'll be two types, better. So but you're clear about this particular thing, right? What is schemas and all that stuff.
Got it.
So in the data management, you can see the schemas. Okay. So when you click on this create schema in right hand side, it will ask you whether it's an individual profile or experience event or others. Okay. As I told you, schemas are of two types. These are classes. You can see select a base class for this schema. So inside schema, the first important thing we need to select is classes. So classes defines what type of data is storing in this particular schema. It is record based or it is time series. Like it is a record profile level information of a customer, either a phone number or an ID, or maybe a loyalty ID, maybe some profile ID, something. There are a lot of details about the profiles, right? Those detail, when we want to store it to this particular thing, if you want to create schema based on this record based, then you select this individual profile. If the data are coming is part of event, like you are adding something to the cart, you are abandoned the cart, or you reviewed something, you purchased something, you made some transaction. These are events. In the marketing space, these are called as events. Those are not profile information. Those are event information. A particular timestamp you're doing. So, for example, because these are not coming on profiles, so these things will keep on changing. Even time frame you did something, in another time frame you do some other thing. Like you'll add a cart in this particular time frame, you abandon the cart in some other time frame, you purchase the same thing in another time frame. So one single time frame, particular event you did, right? So those kind of schemas you have to create, like transaction schema. Then you'll select experience event as a class. There is something called others. So this individual profile, this experience event, whatever data going inside these two, right, will form as profiles. Will go into profiles. Will take that they will consider as profiles, because these two are called XDM schema, XDM classes. These are defined with the language. Where experience data model, I told you they have some rules and things. These are structured like that. If you don't want to keep the data into profiles, you want to keep that as a separate entity. Like you don't need to involve into this the profiles of the customers. You want to keep it a separate entity. You want to use it whenever it's required. Like in database, we use lookup tables, if you know.
Yes.
So like that, we use this. Like this doesn't belong to this stitching and everything, but we can use it whenever it's required. For example, take a scenario of product. Product doesn't uniquely define a customer, right? So product, because you can purchase the same product, I can purchase the same product. We cannot target a customer based on some product information. So there is no need to have the product details in the profiles and events. So what we generally does, we'll keep only product ID here, and we'll create a separate lookup table in other called product table. It contains all the product information like product name, color, category, all that stuff. So it doesn't comes under profile. So but we make a relationship, so whenever it is required any product information, we'll grab it from here, but we doesn't involve it in the profile. But you'll understand whenever we create a profile and everything. But yeah, the basic difference is whenever you want to participate into profile, if the data is required, you select individual profile. If the data is time series, you select experience event. If your data doesn't need to participate in the profile stitching, you can keep it as a lookup table, then you keep it as another. Any questions here?
No, got it.
So, yeah. So this CDP implementation starts like this, the AEP implementation. What exactly when SOW signed and everything, they'll start something like this. They'll give you group of tables. They'll ask you they'll ask you which could be goes under individual profile, which can be an experience event, what exactly the schema names. Like schemas are nothing but table names you have to require. There's need of combining them, or there's no need to have multiple attributes. You can able to divide it. So first and foremost thing you have to do is which belongs to individual profile, which belongs to experience event, what are lookup tables. That's it. Lookup tables we hardly use, but these two are very important. So whenever data is with experience, we'll get that whenever data is there, based on the data thing, we can able to understand, because by going deep inside, we can able to understand the exact difference, how it will work in interactions and all that stuff. But in general, this is the difference, and this is a main important thing whenever we want to implement anything in CDP. So we need to figure out which belongs to individual profile, which belongs to experience event. So once we select the class, we need to give the display name. Don't worry about UI, the UIs keep on changing. So I'm giving this custom, like it's a table name, like schema name. If you want your description, you can do it. So after that, it'll create something like this. So this is, I told you about the XDM thing, right? This is the XDM thing. They have this particular structure. This automatically created by system itself. You're not doing anything there. So this is already defined by their own model, the whole experience model. That's why it's called XDM schema. Here we can see the schema name we created. Here we can see the class we selected. So next we need to add attributes to it. Like we created a table, we created a type of table it is, like it's record based or a time series. Then we have to add attributes into it, right? Like a customer ID, customer name, and all that stuff. Like how we add the column names in the database. Similarly, we need to add attribute names here. There it comes the concept of field groups. So field groups is nothing but a reusable component that defines one or more fields that implement certain functions, like personal details, hotel preferences, or address. Like these are intended to be part of your schema that implements a compatible, that are very much compatible with classes. Like in simple terms, how can we say this? Field groups is nothing but a group of fields together. We can use it in all the schemas whenever it's required. So instead of creating, for example, you create some identities like customer ID, CRM ID, like all the identities into one single field group. So you can use that field group in any other schema. No need to create all the attributes again and again manually. So the field group is nothing but group of fields together, was called as field groups. That's it. Like instead of those are reusable. Whenever you're required to use it, you can use it. So all you, if you want to add field groups, or if you want to add for example, there are many default field groups, okay, like out of the box field groups. For example, if you click on add, you can see based on the industry you're working. So if your client is retail, or if your client is healthcare, if your client is travel and thing, they'll give some default field groups for this. There are many default field groups that are already present here. You can use them if it's required to you, but no need to use them if it's not required. If all the attributes are different than these things, you can use it. But few things we generally use it from here itself. Like there is something called demographic information. Like it contains the demographic details of a customer. So if you click on add field groups, it is automatically added here. So it contains the new thing, the new object is added here. Inside this, you can see name, birth date, name in the sense full name, courtesy name, suffix, prefix, and everything, the gender, all those things, because these are very much required for the customer thing, right? So I'll keep it as a customer table. Maybe that will be better. So for the customer table, these things are important, right? So that's why we just added. But if you don't want to add this, you want to add everything from scratch, your own words, then you can able to click on add. There's something called create new field. You can able to add your own field group. Like we are working some maybe we work for Amazon. So we're just write Amazon customers demographic or whatever it is. Then we'll click on add field groups. So the new thing will be created here. We can able to add multiple attributes inside it. For example, if you click on plus here, the fields will be displayed here. You can give the field name. Field names is nothing but a column name, like column name in the how you provide the databases. You provide the column names here. For example, this is a customer table. I want to put the customer ID first. So I mention the customer ID. Then I'll select the type of this is a data type. There are many data types it supports: string, double, long, integer, array, object, and all that stuff. So whatever is required, you can keep it. I'm making it as a string. So here it will ask for the field group inside which field group I want to keep this. So field group is necessary. We cannot add attribute directly here. Okay. For example, I want to add customer ID directly here instead of adding field group. That I cannot do. I want to. I can keep fields only inside a field group. I cannot add fields outside the field. So whatever attribute I'm just adding, I need to please it some field group. That's it. So that's why it'll ask you at what exactly field group it should go on. That's why it's in star symbols mandatory here. If you do it without it, it'll throw us an error. So here I'm going to this Amazon thing. So here I'm just selecting that. So if you want to add any default value, if there is nothing there, if you want to add any default value, you can add it here. Is there any pattern should be there in the data that coming inside it? You can able to add it here. Is there any format of it? Like it's a data format, email format, or URI or something like that. You can able to add it like here. Are there any restrictions you want to keep? Any constraints you want to keep? Like is there any minimum length of this data is only 6 digits or 7 digits? If there's a requirement from the client, you can able to add it here. So after that, if you want to make it as a required field, so only data ingest, if data is ingested, then the ingestion happens and it will fail, then you make it as required. Or you want to keep it as an array, you want to store multiple values inside this particular thing, you want to get the data as an array, you can select this. There's you know about enum, right? So enum as a type in database same like enum. Like for example, in enum we have it's a series of suggested values, so it accepts only that values. For example, gender, we can keep male, female, unknown as 3 options in enum, like 3 suggested values. If the other than 3 something came inside it, it will fail the ingestion. So enum is nothing but the set of suggestions or set of suggested values for this particular field we're just targeting. You want to keep it, you can keep it. Maybe if few customers, few clients want only this data should comes inside it, you can keep it enum thing. Like we need only country codes and everything. For those scenarios we can do it. This identity part I'll explain you tomorrow class, because it's I want to connect with some other thing. That's why I'm doing it. It's more like a primary key, secondary key, and a foreign key we use in our databases, right? It's a similar concept, but I'll explain you detail in next class.
Sure.
So like this, we can add multiple attributes in one field group. Like this, there's no limit. We can add multiple field groups in a same class and same schema. And another concept of this field groups is these field group. For example, if you created a new field group called Amazon, for example, I can apply. This will be added here. So similarly, I can able to add multiple attributes inside it. I can keep on getting it. I can keep on adding multiple attributes in particular field group. And this particular field group is very much related to this class.
Okay.
Like I told you, there's some other class called experience event. So this field group I cannot use in that particular class, and some other class other than this. So I told you field groups are reusable, but reusable only to the same class.
Okay.
So create any other schema the same class, and we can use. Similarly with experience event, if I create something in experience event, I can only use in the experience event schemas.
Understand.